Join me as I deconstruct vowel sounds, turning everyday words into a playful phonetic puzzle. I'm Dr. Emily Sherwood. For more information about literacy and language, please like and subscribe. So there's this idea out there that there's no pattern to English. English doesn't make sense. And that's not true. It is true that there are a lot of exceptions to rules in English, but there are rules. And the rules that you use for sound systems is called phonics. Now, if you have a child that's learning in the United States, either at a public school or now at most private schools, phonics is a really big deal. Some people say that phonics is the most important thing in reading. That's not true. There are actually 5 things that are important in reading, 5 pillars. You can watch another video. But it is true that phonics is one important part of reading. And again, if you're a parent, you're going to be expected to help your child with phonics. And it's something that a lot of parents don't know a lot about. Because back when I was in school, you were taught just how to memorize words and you were taught the alphabet, but you weren't taught a lot of phonics. And that's why phonics has become a big trend. Because it was something that was missing that was very important. Again, it is an important part of reading and it is foundational to reading. In other words, if you know phonics, it can really help you learn how to read and read more easily. So, phonics is our sound system in English. And there are 26 letters that represent sounds in English. Now, you put those letters together and they make different sounds. And I think that's when English starts getting confusing. So first I'm going to go through some basic terms. So there's the word grapheme. You might also hear it called a phonogram, and that's just a sound. So I know especially like some homeschool curriculums, they use the words grapheme. Or they might use the words phonogram. It's the same thing. And in the phonetic system, the most important and the most common sounds are what we call the vowels. And those are A, E, I, O, U. And sometimes Y sounds like a vowel. Sometimes it sounds like I or E. But every word in English has a vowel. It's not an English word if it doesn't have a vowel. And in English, knowledge of the vowels can help you to know the words, how the word sounds. Even if you don't know the word, if you've never said the word, the vowels can give you a clue, and it's more important in some ways than consonants, which are the other letters. But in English, knowledge of the vowels is key. It's really the most important thing when you're learning how to read phonetically. If you know the vowels, it's much easier for you to learn how to read. So in English, again, there's 5. A, E, I, O, U. Sometimes there's Y because it sounds like I or E. Now, if you have a child in school in the United States, there's a lot of terms that go along with vowels that are kind of confusing. So I'm going to go over that and give some examples. So short vowels are the easiest vowels. And if you have a child in school or you're teaching a child to read, this is what we start with because these are the most basic words. So the short vowels are they make a sound. So here are the sounds in English. So a, like apple at the beginning of apple. E, like bed, the middle of bed. I, like sit. G, for cheek. Those are short vowels. And again, that's the first thing that you learn, and that's the most common. Now, short vowels are easy for most people to learn. Where it starts to get trickier are in the long vowels. So there's a saying. When 2 vowels go walking, the first one does the talking. And you'll hear that in schools. So, long vowels say their name. So in most cases, you have a word, and if the long vowel is there, the first vowel says the name. Now that might seem a little fuzzy now, but I'm going to give some examples. So the most common pattern, and you might hear it called falsy E or silent E, or magic E. They call it different things when they're teaching children. It's where you have a vowel, a consonant, and then E. And in that case, the letter says its name. So for example, the word cake, like a birthday cake, C-A-K-E. It says A because of that E on the end. It doesn't say A. So another example is when we have cane, C-A-N-E, that's something that you use to walk. Because it has the A, it sounds like cane. I take the E away. Because it has E, it sounds like cane. It has an A sound. Take the E away, and it becomes can. You have that short vowel sound. Kite. You have I, consonant E. I take the E away. It's called kit. It's a short I. I have the E and it's a long I. Now, in English, you also can have it where you have two vowels together, and that can be very confusing. So if you have, for example, the word boat, there are two vowels there. There's O and there's A. The A makes it long. I were to take that out, it becomes bot, like part of a robot. But you have the OA, so it sounds like O. Boat. Another example here is tree. All right. And another example is, what's another example? We have the word soap. Soap is what you use to wash yourself. Because it has that OA, it's O. It has the R in it. And another thing that's a little bit tricky is when you have two O's together or you have a long O, it makes it sound like you. When you have two O's together or you have a long O, it makes it sound like you. So, for example, the word shoe, it's not show, it's shoe. And it sounds like it should be show because, again, there's two vowels. But when there's an O and another letter, it sounds like you. So you have the word shoe, S-H-O-E, shoe. Or you have a cow. What does a cow do? It goes moo, M-O-O. It's not mo, it's moo. So this is an exception to the pattern, and this makes it really hard for a lot of students to understand long O. And so what can you do to help your students with vowels? So there are things like word hunts. There's word stretching where you just say the words. You can just say the words together. And there's also something called minimal pairs, which are words that are similar. And I'm going to put an exercise down here for minimal pairs so that you can see that. For example, you have the words pin and you have the words pine. Pine is a type of tree and that's grown in the United States in the South. So you have pin, which is a short vowel, and then you have pine. Your student looks at the word and they find that the words are different, and that helps. So this has been a very, very quick overview. This is a subject that could go on forever, but it's a very quick overview of the vowels. And on the next video, I'm going to go over some of the more trickier consonant sounds.